welcome to your deep dive. This time, we're going to be talking all about longevity.
Okay.
And specifically, not just adding years to your life, but really like adding life to your years.
Right.
Like actually feeling good, you know?
Yeah.
So we're diving into some excerpts that you sent over from Peter Attia's book, Outlive, The Science and Art of Longevity.
Okay.
And wow, there is so much to unpack here.
Absolutely.
It's clear that you're really serious about taking control of your health.
Yeah.
This book is like packed with actionable insights.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a really, really fascinating deep dive.
Me too. I think you're going to find some really interesting and hopefully empowering information in here.
Okay, so let's get to it.
Yeah.
Attia starts off by making a really important distinction between lifespan and health span.
Right.
And yeah, I got to admit, before reading this, I kind of just lumped them together as like the same thing.
Yeah.
But he's saying, no, they're very different.
Yeah, they are.
So what is that difference and why does it matter?
Yeah. So lifespan is simply how long you live, like period,
Okay.
your time on Earth. But health span
Right.
is a portion of that life where you're like vibrant and functional and largely disease-free.
Got it.
So it's really about avoiding that scenario where medical advances keep you alive longer,
Okay.
but you're not necessarily enjoying those extra years.
Right. So it's not just about delaying death.
Yeah.
It's about delaying that like decline.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that?
Well, that's where what Attia calls medicine 3.0 comes in.
Right.
And this is like a proactive approach using all these advanced tools and personalization to identify and manage those long-term health risks
Okay.
before they become like serious problems.
Before they become problems.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, think of it like the evolution of self-driving cars.
Oh.
For a long time, it was just a concept. But now with like AI and sensors,
Yeah.
it's actually a reality. And Medicine 3.0 is using those similar advancements to keep you in the driver's seat of your health.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So instead of waiting for the check engine light to come on,
Exactly.
we are constantly monitoring the system and making adjustments to keep things running smoothly.
You got it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, but what are we watching out for?
Right.
Like, what are the biggest threats to our health span?
Well, Attia refers to these as the 4 horsemen of aging.
Okay, the 4 horsemen.
Yeah. And these are heart disease, cancer, neurodegenerative diseases
Okay.
like Alzheimer's, and then type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
Or, more broadly, metabolic dysfunction.
Got it. So those are the 4.
Those are the big 4.
Okay.
And these are the leading causes of death.
Yeah.
But what's really scary is that they can actually develop silently for years or even decades
Oh, wow.
before any symptoms even appear.
That is scary.
Yeah.
Because it makes you realize that prevention is really key here.
It is.
So how do we combat these horsemen?
Right.
Is it all about like radical lifestyle changes?
It's not necessarily about being extreme. Okay.
But it is about being proactive. And the good news is that, these seemingly very disparate conditions,
Yeah.
they often share common risk factors.
Okay.
And they can be tackled, through lifestyle interventions.
Oh, okay.
And, there's some fascinating research emerging on specific compounds
Okay.
that might offer even more protection.
Okay. Well, that brings us to one of the most intriguing parts of the book.
Yes.
Which is the story of rapamycin.
Yes.
This drug was discovered on Easter Island, and it has actually been shown to extend lifespan in several different species.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So how does it work?
So rapamycin inhibits a cellular pathway called mTOR.
mTOR.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is a pathway that's involved in growth and metabolism.
Okay.
So think of it kind of like the gas pedal in a car.
Okay.
Sometimes, tapping the brakes can help the engine last longer.
Yeah.
So by inhibiting mTOR, rapamycin seems to trigger autophagy,
Okay.
which is like the cell's self-cleaning process.
Oh, so it's like giving ourselves a good spring cleaning. Yeah. Exactly.
I like that.
And interestingly, calorie restriction, which has also been shown to increase lifespan in various organisms, seems to work through a similar mechanism,
Okay.
promoting that autophagy and cellular rejuvenation.
So there's something to those like age-old practices of
Right.
fasting and moderation.
Yeah.
But let's talk about kind of the elephant in the room here,
Okay.
which is our modern diet.
Right.
Attia paints kind of a grim picture
Yeah.
of how our modern diet is contributing to this rise in metabolic dysfunction.
It is the standard American diet, or SAID,
Yes.
is unfortunately very aptly named. It's overloaded with processed foods, refined sugars, unhealthy fats, and this overwhelms our body's ability to manage glucose,
Right.
leading to fat accumulation, particularly that visceral fat,
Okay.
which is the fat that surrounds our organs.
Yeah.
And that is linked to inflammation and a whole host of health issues.
Yeah, and he makes it really clear that this is a problem that goes beyond just obesity.
There is.
He talks about metabolic dysfunction as this broader spectrum.
Right. It's not just about how you look.
Yeah.
It's about how your body is functioning at a cellular level.
Right.
And he highlights insulin resistance as a key driver of all those four horsemen.
Okay.
And when your cells become resistant to insulin,
Yeah.
your body just pumps out more and more of it, trying to get that glucose into the cells.
Right.
And these chronically elevated insulin levels,
Okay.
they're a major warning sign, but often they go unaddressed until it's too late.
So it's like a silent alarm bell going off,
Yeah,
but most people just don't know how to listen to it.
exactly.
So that's where this idea of medicine 3.0 and being proactive becomes so important.
Yeah.
And Adia even shares this really personal anecdote about his own brush with heart disease
He does.
that really drives this point home.
It does.
So tell me about that.
So his story about discovering that he had these high calcium scores in his coronary arteries,
Wow.
even though he considered himself to be a pretty healthy guy.
Right, he was a doctor.
Yeah,
So he probably thought he knew what he was doing.
you would think.
But this is a stark reminder that heart disease can progress silently
He can.
and strike even those who seem to be doing everything right.
That's right.
It definitely makes you think twice about all those assumptions we make about our own health.
It does.
And I was surprised by some of the misconceptions that he debunks about heart disease.
Yeah.
Like the role of dietary cholesterol, for example.
Right.
I always thought that was like public enemy number one.
Yeah, the science on dietary cholesterol is more nuanced than that old avoid all fats mantra.
Okay.
Atia explains that it's not so much about the cholesterol we eat,
Okay.
but it's about those particles that carry cholesterol in our blood,
Okay.
specifically something called ApoB particles.
Oh, PP?
Okay, yeah, and too many of these particles, particularly the dangerous LPA variety, can contribute to the buildup of plaque in our arteries.
Right.
And that, of course, increases our risk of heart attack and stroke.
So it's not just about pouring all the bacon grease down the drain,
Right.
but it's about understanding this really complex interplay of factors
It is.
that contribute to heart disease.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get too deep into heart disease, I want to touch on another horseman
Okay.
that I think hits close to home for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and that is cancer.
Right?
So cancer is obviously such a complex and multifaceted disease.
It is.
Adia emphasizes that it's not a single entity,
Right.
but rather this collection of diverse conditions.
Yeah, with varying genetic drivers and metabolic vulnerabilities.
But despite that complexity,
Yeah,
he does highlight some promising approaches to tackling cancer, right?
he does. One fascinating area is targeting cancer's metabolic vulnerability,
Okay.
specifically its reliance on glucose for growth.
Got it.
And this is known as the Warburg effect.
The Warburg effect.
And some therapies aim to disrupt cancer's metabolic pathways,
Okay.
essentially trying to starve the cancer cells.
So using the cancer's own hunger against it? That's amazing.
And then there's that incredible story of Steve Rosenberg.
Rosenberg, yeah.
And his pioneering work with immunotherapy.
Yeah.
Rosenberg's research has been truly revolutionary.
Yeah.
He's been using the body's own immune system to fight cancer, and it's led to some remarkable breakthroughs in treating certain cancers that were once considered to be incurable.
It's amazing to think that our own bodies hold the key to fighting such a formidable disease.
It is.
And he talks about the potential of liquid biopsies,
Right.
which are these blood tests that can detect cancer cells or DNA fragments shed by tumors.
Exactly. So it's like having an early warning system for cancer.
Yeah.
They offer this less invasive and potentially more sensitive way to screen for cancer,
Okay.
especially in its early stages when treatment is most effective.
Early detection is key.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's turn our attention now to that final horseman,
Okay.
Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah, Alzheimer's is a particularly challenging disease. We still lack those effective treatments
Right.
to stop or reverse its progression. But Adia offers some valuable insights into how we can potentially reduce our risk and protect our cognitive function as we age.
One of the things that struck me was the importance of addressing those vascular and metabolic risk factors we talked about earlier.
Absolutely. Maintaining good cardiovascular health and managing those blood sugar levels can have a protective effect against Alzheimer's.
Okay.
And there's growing evidence that what's good for the heart is good for the brain.
It makes you realize that all of these pieces are interconnected.
They are.
And it sounds like exercise plays a vital role as well.
It does. Studies have shown this strong link between regular physical activity and a reduced risk of cognitive decline.
So getting that blood pumping is good for your brain.
Yeah, exercise seems to benefit the brain in multiple ways, improving blood flow, stimulating the growth of new brain cells, and enhancing our cognitive function.
It's like strength training for your brain. Okay, so we've talked about these 4 horsemen.
Yeah.
But it can feel kind of overwhelming.
Right.
Like, where do we even begin to tackle all of this?
Yeah.
Aya seems to be a big believer in having this framework of principles to guide your longevity journey.
Right.
He calls this thinking tactically.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So it's about moving beyond that generic advice and creating a personalized approach.
Okay.
And Adia suggests envisioning your health journey as training for the centenarian decathlon.
Oh, the centenarian decathlon.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of just focusing on lifespan, we're training for 10 essential abilities.
Yeah.
That'll help us thrive in later life.
Exactly.
Oh, I love the centenarian decathlon. Okay, so what are some of the events in this decathlon?
So, for example, one event is Don't Fall.
Okay, don't fall.
Which highlights the importance of maintaining balance, coordination, and strength to prevent falls.
Makes sense.
Which can be devastating as we age.
Right.
Another event is be able to get up off the floor, which sounds simple.
Yeah.
But it actually requires a surprising amount of strength and mobility.
Yeah, you don't realize that until you try and do it.
Right.
And, of course, there's the classic walk at a brisk pace for a significant distance, which reflects good cardiovascular health and endurance.
Right.
It's fascinating to think about longevity in terms of these practical skills.
Yeah.
Rather than just a number on a calendar.
Exactly.
So how do we start training for this centenarian decathlon? Where do we go from here?
Well, in the next part of our deep dive, we'll delve into the specifics of Adia's training program.
Okay.
From personalized nutrition strategies to targeted exercise plans, and explore how you can create a sustainable plan for longevity that fits your individual goals and lifestyle.
I can't wait. All right, so stay tuned.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome back to your longevity deep dive.
Yeah.
Last time we unpacked the difference between lifespan and health span.
Right.
We explored this whole concept of medicine 3.0, and we met those ominous 4 horsemen of aging.
Yeah.
So now I think it's time to roll up our sleeves and get into the practical stuff.
Okay.
The centenarian decathlon sounds great.
Yeah.
But how do we actually train for it?
Right. So it all starts with understanding those building blocks,
Okay.
Nutrition, exercise, sleep, and even our emotional well-being.
Okay.
Attia goes into a ton of detail.
Yeah.
But he always comes back to this idea of personalization.
Okay.
There's no one-size-fits-all plan.
Okay, so let's break it down.
Yeah.
Starting with nutrition.
Okay.
I have to confess, every time I think I figured out the perfect diet,
yeah,
a new study comes out that contradicts everything I thought I knew.
Right.
So where do we even begin?
It can definitely feel overwhelming.
Right.
But Adia's approach is refreshingly practical.
Yeah.
He starts with the basics.
Right.
Most of us are simply eating too much.
Okay.
We live in this world of food abundance, which makes it incredibly easy to overconsume calories.
Right. Without even realizing it.
That's so true. Portion sizes have ballooned over the years.
They have.
And it's easy to fall into that trap of cleaning your plate even when you're already full.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of food quality.
Yeah.
The standard American diet, or the SAD, as we discussed earlier, is loaded with processed foods, refined sugars, and unhealthy fats.
Yeah.
And these foods are often calorie-dense, but nutrient-poor.
Right.
So they leave us feeling unsatisfied and craving more.
So step 1 is ditching the SAD.
Pretty much.
And focusing on whole, unprocessed foods.
Yeah.
That's pretty standard advice, though.
Yeah.
Does Attia offer anything new or different?
He does, while he emphasizes that importance of whole foods.
Okay.
He goes beyond that generic eat your fruits and veggies advice.
Okay.
And dives into those specific macronutrients.
Okay.
Protein, fat, and carbohydrates.
Okay.
And he argues that many of us, especially as we age, aren't consuming enough protein. That's interesting. I've always heard that too much protein is bad for your kidneys.
He addresses that concern directly.
Okay.
While there are some individuals with specific kidney conditions who need to monitor their protein intake.
Okay.
For most healthy adults, there's no evidence to suggest that higher protein intake is harmful.
Okay.
In fact, he argues that adequate protein is essential for maintaining muscle mass, strength, and even cognitive function as we age.
So it's not just about bulking up.
No.
It's about preventing that age-related muscle loss.
Exactly.
That can make us more susceptible to fall falls and weakness and frailty.
Exactly.
So what kind of protein does he recommend?
So he emphasizes the importance of protein quality.
Okay.
The animal proteins, like those found in meat and fish and eggs, tend to be more complete.
Okay.
Meaning they contain all of the essential amino acids our bodies need.
Okay.
Plant-based proteins, while valuable,
Yeah.
often lack one or more of these essential amino acids.
Mm.
So if you're relying primarily on plant-based protein sources, it's crucial to combine them strategically.
Got it.
To make sure you're getting that full spectrum.
So it's not about choosing one type of protein over another.
Right.
But it's about understanding the differences.
Yeah.
And making informed choices based on your individual needs and preferences.
Exactly.
What about fats?
Okay.
I grew up in the era of fat-free everything.
Yeah, right.
But I get the sense that the science on fat has really evolved.
It definitely has. Adia busts some of those old myths about saturated fat.
Okay.
He argues that the focus should be on the overall balance of fats in our diet.
Okay.
Rather than demonizing any one type.
Okay.
He points out that monounsaturated fats like those found in olive oil, avocados, and nuts are beneficial for heart health and can help reduce inflammation.
And then there are those omega-3 fatty acids that we hear so much about.
Right. Adia is a huge proponent of omega-3s.
Okay.
Particularly EPA and DHA.
EPA, DHA.
Which are abundant in fatty fish.
Okay.
Like salmon, sardines, and mackerel.
Okay.
And he explains that these fatty acids are crucial for brain health, heart health, and reducing inflammation.
But he also cautions about the overabundance of omega-6 fatty acids in our modern diets, right? Something about vegetable oils.
Exactly. He points out that while omega-6s are essential, our modern diets are often overloaded with them due to the widespread use of vegetable oils like corn and soybean oil. And this imbalance between omega-6s and omega-3s can contribute to inflammation. So he recommends being mindful of the sources of fats in our diets. And making sure we're getting enough of those beneficial omega-3s.
Okay, so we've covered protein, we've covered fat.
Right.
What about carbohydrates?
Right.
This seems to be the most debated macronutrient of all.
It is.
Where does Adia land on the whole low-carb versus high-carb debate?
So he doesn't subscribe to any specific diet dogma. But he does emphasize the importance of blood sugar control. And he argues that those frequent blood sugar spikes, even those within the normal range, can contribute to insulin resistance over time, which sets the stage for metabolic dysfunction and chronic diseases.
That makes sense. So it's not just about avoiding diabetes, but it's about maintaining stable blood sugar levels. To protect our overall health in the long run.
Exactly.
And this is where he gets really interesting. He's a huge advocate for using continuous glucose monitoring, or CGM, as a tool for understanding our individual responses to different foods.
It is.
CGM, isn't that mostly for people with diabetes?
It was initially developed for managing diabetes, but Atia sees it as this powerful tool for anyone who wants to optimize their metabolic health. CGM allows you to see how your blood sugar levels fluctuate throughout the day in response to different foods, activities, and even stress.
So it's like having a window into your metabolism, allowing you to see the impact of your food choices in real time.
It is, and it can be a real game changer for making informed choices about what to eat.
Wow.
For example, you might find that a certain type of bread spikes your blood sugar, while another doesn't, even though they both have similar calorie and carb counts.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this whole personalized nutrition thing works.
Yeah.
But beyond the individual macronutrients, Atia also talks about some specific dietary strategies.
He does.
Like intermittent fasting and time-restricted feeding, right?
Yes. Those seem to be all the rage these days.
They are, and for good reason.
Yeah.
So what does Atia have to say about those?
He explores the science behind these approaches. Explaining how they can improve insulin sensitivity. Reduce inflammation, and promote cellular repair processes like autophagy, we talked about earlier.
So it's not just about restricting calories.
But
it's about timing our food intake in a way that benefits our metabolic health.
Exactly. But he also cautions that these approaches aren't for everyone and should be done under the guidance of a healthcare professional.
That makes sense. You don't want to jump into something extreme without understanding the potential risks and benefits.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works best for you. Taking into account your individual health goals, lifestyle, and preferences.
So there's no one-size-fits-all approach to nutrition.
Nope.
But rather, this set of principles and tools we can use to create a personalized plan that supports our longevity goals.
You got it.
Okay, let's move on to another crucial aspect of longevity.
Okay.
Sleep.
Yes, sleep.
I know I personally feel my best when I've had a good night's rest.
Yeah.
But what makes sleep so important from a longevity perspective?
So Adia dives deep into the science of sleep.
Okay.
Highlighting its impact on everything from our cognitive function and emotional regulation to hormone balance and immune system health.
Wow, it affects everything.
It really does. And, you know, he debunks that myth that we can simply power through unlimited sleep.
Yeah.
Emphasizing that chronic sleep deprivation has these far-reaching consequences for our physical and mental well-being.
He even admits to being like a sleep-deprived workaholic earlier in his career.
He does.
Until a friend, a former Navy SEAL, I think, gave him a wake-up call.
Yeah, tough love.
Yeah, I guess even doctors need a little tough love sometimes.
It's a good reminder that we all have blind spots.
Yeah.
And even those of us who are, you know, knowledgeable about health can fall into those unhealthy habits.
So true. But thankfully, Adia took his friend's advice to heart.
He did.
And started prioritizing sleep.
Yeah.
And in his research, he really discovered just how crucial sleep is for longevity.
It is.
So it's not just about feeling rested, but it's about giving our bodies the time they need to repair and rejuvenate and consolidate memories.
And all of that.
He talks about these different stages of sleep, right?
He does.
What's the difference between those and why does it matter?
So he explains how we cycle through different sleep stages throughout the night.
Okay.
And each serves this unique purpose.
Okay.
Deep sleep, also known as slow wave sleep, is when our bodies physically repair and rejuvenate.
Okay.
So that's when we release growth hormone, build muscle, and strengthen the immune system.
Okay.
Then there's REM sleep.
REM sleep.
Characterized by those rapid eye movements. And vivid dreaming.
Okay.
And this stage is essential for memory consolidation, emotional processing, and creativity.
So we need both quantity and quality sleep.
We do.
To reap the full benefits?
Yeah.
But our modern lifestyles often interfere with these crucial sleep stages, right?
They do.
I know I'm guilty of scrolling through my phone late at night.
Right.
Which probably doesn't help.
You and millions of others.
Right.
You know, Atia points out how artificial light, particularly the blue light emitted from electronic devices, disrupts our natural sleep-wake cycle, suppressing melatonin production, which is the hormone that makes us feel sleepy.
Okay, so no more late night scrolling. Got it.
But that's going away.
But what about those of us who just can't seem to fall asleep?
Right.
Even when we put our phones away and we dim the lights?
Yeah.
Like, any tips for chronic insomniacs?
So Atia offers a range of practical tips.
Okay.
But one that stood out to me was his advice for those who find themselves tossing and turning for hours: get out of bed.
What, really?
It sounds counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But he recommends going into another room.
Okay.
And engaging in a relaxing activity like reading or listening to calming music until you feel drowsy.
So it's about breaking that association between the bed and wakefulness.
Exactly.
So instead of lying there feeling stressed and frustrated, you get up and you do something else until your body's truly ready for sleep.
Exactly. He also emphasizes the importance of consistency.
Okay.
Both in terms of our sleep schedule and our pre-sleep routine.
Okay.
So going to bed and waking up around the same time each day, even on the weekends, helps regulate those circadian rhythms.
Okay.
Making it easier to fall asleep and wake up feeling refreshed.
And that pre-sleep routine is all about signaling to your body that it's time to wind down right.
Exactly.
What kind of things does he recommend?
So he suggests creating this calming ritual that helps you relax and distress.
Okay.
This could include taking a warm bath, reading a book, listening to soothing music, or practicing relaxation techniques like deep breathing or meditation.
So it's about creating that sense of calm and tranquility before you hit the pillow.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
He also mentioned something about chronotypes, right?
Yes.
What are those?
So chronotypes refer to our natural sleep-wake preferences, often described as being an early bird or a night owl.
Yeah.
Our chronotype is influenced by our genetics and can impact our ideal sleep timing.
Okay.
So while it's good to have a consistent sleep schedule, it's also important to honor your natural chronotype.
Okay.
You know, if you're a night owl, trying to force yourself to go to bed early might backfire.
Right.
And make it even harder to fall asleep.
So maybe night owls aren't just lazy, they're just wired differently.
That's right.
Good to know. Okay, we've covered nutrition.
Yeah.
We've covered sleep.
Right.
What about exercise?
Okay.
I have to admit, I'm not exactly a gym rat.
Yeah.
Does the 80 advocate for spending hours at the gym every day?
Not necessarily. You know, he really emphasizes the importance of finding activities that you enjoy.
Okay.
Because that makes it more likely that you'll stick with them long term.
Right.
He even says, if you hate an exercise, stop doing it.
Yeah,
you know, it's not about forcing yourself to do something you dread, but it's about finding ways to move your body that feel good and bring you joy.
So if I'd rather dance than lift weights, that's okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He highlights the importance of incorporating a variety of types of movement into your routine, including strength training, stability training, and cardiovascular exercise.
Okay.
But he's flexible about the specific activities you choose.
Okay, let's break down those different types of exercise. Okay. Starting with strength training.
Yeah.
Why is that so important for longevity?
So strength training is crucial for building and maintaining muscle mass.
Okay.
Which, as we discussed earlier, is essential for strength metabolism and overall health.
Okay.
As we age, we naturally lose muscle mass.
Yeah.
And inadequate strength training can accelerate this process.
Okay.
Leading to weakness, frailty, and an increased risk of falls.
So it's not about getting ripped or bulky.
Right.
But it's about maintaining functional strength so we can continue doing the things we love as we get older.
Exactly.
What kind of strength training does he recommend?
He emphasizes the importance of focusing on compound movements that work multiple muscle groups simultaneously.
Right.
And these movements are more efficient than isolation exercises, meaning you get more bang for your buck in terms of muscle activation and overall strength gains.
So things like squats, deadlifts, and presses.
Yes, those are great examples.
Those sound pretty intense.
They can be, but he stresses the importance of starting gradually and progressively increasing the intensity and duration of your workouts.
Okay.
It's not about pushing yourself to the point of exhaustion or injury. It's about challenging your muscles in a safe and effective way.
And what about stability training?
Okay.
I've heard that term before, but I'm not exactly sure what it means.
So stability training focuses on strengthening the muscles that support your joints and improve your balance and coordination.
Okay.
So think of it as building a solid foundation for movement.
So it's like having good shock absorbers on a car.
Exactly.
That helps you navigate those bumps in the road more smoothly.
Right. Stability training is crucial for preventing injuries.
Okay.
Especially as we age and become more susceptible to falls.
Right.
It's about moving efficiently and gracefully. Yeah.
Whether you're playing sports, chasing after grandkids, or simply navigating your daily life.
What kind of exercises does he recommend for stability training?
He suggests incorporating exercises that challenge balance, coordination, and core strength, such as single-leg squats, planks, and rotational movements. He also emphasizes the importance of paying attention to your breathing, using diaphragmatic breathing to support core stability and improve respiratory function.
So it's not just about the exercises themselves, but it's about how you perform them.
Yes.
And how you engage your core and your breath.
It's about being mindful of your movement and developing that strong connection between your mind and your body.
Okay, we've covered strength training.
Yeah.
We've covered stability training.
Yeah.
What about cardiovascular exercise?
Okay.
I'm assuming he's not advocating for running marathons every weekend.
While he acknowledges the benefits of endurance training,
he's not a fan of excessive or overly intense cardio.
Right.
He's more interested in building a solid aerobic base, which he believes is crucial for longevity.
He talks about something called Zone 2 training, right?
He does.
What's that all about?
So Zone 2 training is a type of aerobic exercise performed at a moderate intensity where you can still hold a conversation. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing yourself, but not overdoing it.
So it's not about gasping for breath
or
feeling like you're going to collapse.
No.
But it's about sustaining a comfortable effort level for an extended period of time.
Exactly. And he explains that Zone 2 training is particularly beneficial for building our aerobic capacity, improving cardiovascular health, and enhancing mitochondrial function.
Mitochondria. Those are the powerhouses of our cells, right?
They are. And as we age, our mitochondria become less efficient, which can contribute to a decline in energy levels, cognitive function, and overall health. Zone 2 training seems to have this rejuvenating effect on mitochondria, helping them function more efficiently and boosting our energy levels.
So it's not just about burning calories.
Right.
But it's about improving the way our cells produce and utilize energy.
Exactly. And he suggests aiming for at least 3 to 4 sessions of Zone 2 cardio per week.
Okay.
Whether it's brisk walking, swimming, cycling, or dancing.
Okay.
Again, it's about finding something that you enjoy and can sustain over time.
Okay, so we've covered nutrition.
Yeah.
We've covered sleep.
Right.
We've covered exercise.
Yep.
Is there anything else we need to consider when it comes to training for this centenarian decathlon?
There's one more crucial piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
Emotional well-being.
Oh, right, emotional well-being.
And this is where Attia gets really personal.
Okay.
Sharing his own struggles with stress, anxiety, and even trauma.
Right. He doesn't shy away from the tough stuff.
He doesn't.
He talks about how he was prioritizing work over family.
Right.
And neglecting his own emotional needs, which ultimately led to a breakdown.
It did.
It's a powerful reminder that even those of us who are knowledgeable about health can fall into these unhealthy patterns.
That's right.
And his story is a testament to the fact that true health encompasses not just our physical bodies,
right,
but also our minds and our emotions.
Don't say.
And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore his insights into cultivating emotional resilience.
Okay.
Managing stress and finding meaning and purpose in life.
Sounds good.
Because ultimately, longevity isn't just about adding years. It's about adding life to those years.
I love that.
Welcome back to the final part of your longevity deep dive.
Okay.
We've journeyed through the science. We've explored the 4 horsemen.
Right.
And we learned how to train for that centenarian decathlon.
Yeah.
So now I think it's time to talk about putting it all together.
Okay.
You know, you've provided so much research.
Yeah.
It's clear that you're ready to take action.
Yeah, I want to do this.
But with so much information, where do you even begin?
It's true. There's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
But I think one of Attia's greatest strengths is his ability to distill all that complex science into actionable steps.
Right.
And he always comes back to this idea of personalization.
So no cookie cutter solutions.
Exactly. He provides frameworks and guidelines.
Okay.
But ultimately, it's about finding what works best for you.
Okay.
And that all starts with self-awareness.
Okay.
He's a big believer in data and objective measurements.
So not just relying on how we feel,
right,
but actually gathering data.
Exactly. He recommends getting a comprehensive blood panel, checking your blood pressure, and getting a baseline assessment of your body composition.
Okay.
You know, this gives you a clear snapshot of your current health status.
Yeah.
Which you can then use to tailor your approach.
So it's like getting a personalized health report card.
Exactly.
And from there, you can start making those targeted changes.
Right. And he encourages people to track their progress over time. Using tools like continuous glucose monitoring, sleep trackers, and fitness wearables.
Okay.
You know, it's about becoming a scientist of your own body.
Yeah.
Experimenting and observing how you respond to different interventions.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Turning self-improvement into a science experiment.
Exactly.
Okay, let's get specific.
Okay.
We talk a lot about nutrition in the last part.
Yeah.
What are some actionable steps you can take to apply those principles in your daily life?
One of the biggest takeaways for me was Attia's emphasis on creating a sustainable eating pattern.
Okay.
He's not about deprivation or restrictive diets.
Okay.
You know, he wants you to find a way of eating that nourishes your body and brings you joy.
So it's not about white-knuckling your way through another fad diet.
No.
But it's about finding a way of eating that you can stick with for the long haul.
Exactly. And he offers some really practical tips for making healthy eating easier.
Sure.
Planning your meals in advance, prepping ingredients ahead of time, and having healthy snacks on hand can help you avoid those impulsive, unhealthy choices.
Right.
When you're hungry and pressed for time.
It's like setting yourself up for success.
It is.
By removing as many barriers as possible.
Exactly. He also encourages mindfulness when it comes to eating.
Okay.
Paying attention to your hunger cues.
Okay.
Savoring your food. And eating slowly.
Okay.
This allows your body to register fullness.
Right.
And helps you avoid overeating.
So it's about shifting from mindless eating to mindful eating.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about those of us with a sweet tooth?
Yeah.
Does Attia advocate for completely eliminating sugar?
He's definitely not a fan of refined sugar and processed foods.
Okay.
But he recognizes that completely eliminating all treats can backfire.
Right.
You know, it can make you feel deprived.
Yeah.
And more likely to binge.
So it's all about balance.
It is about finding that balance and enjoying those treats in moderation.
Moderation. The magic word. Okay, let's move on to exercise. Okay. What are some practical tips for incorporating strength training, stability training, and zone 2 cardio into your routine?
Again, Atya emphasizes finding activities that you enjoy.
Okay.
If you hate going to the gym, don't force yourself.
Right.
Find something else that gets you moving.
Yeah.
Whether it's dancing, hiking, swimming, or playing a sport.
Okay.
The key is consistency.
So no need to become a CrossFit fanatic if that's not your thing.
Exactly. And when it comes to strength training, he recommends focusing on those compound movements that we talked about, like squats, deadlifts, and presses.
Right.
But start gradually, especially if you're new to strength training. You don't need to lift heavy weights right away.
Right.
It's about building a foundation and gradually increasing the intensity over time.
And for stability training, what are some simple ways to incorporate that into our lives?
He suggests incorporating exercises that challenge your balance, like standing on one leg while you brush your teeth, or doing calf raises while you're waiting in line.
Oh, I can definitely see myself doing that. What about core work?
Yeah.
Everyone seems obsessed with having six-pack abs these days.
Atya emphasizes functional core strength, which is more about supporting your spine and improving your posture than achieving a certain aesthetic.
Right.
He recommends exercises like planks, bird dog, and side planks, which engage those deep core muscles.
Right.
And remember, quality over quantity.
Right.
It's better to do a few reps with perfect form than to crank out a bunch of sloppy ones.
Yeah, form is key. And finally, zone 2 cardio. I'm still not entirely clear on how to determine what zone 2 means for me personally.
Yeah, it's basically about finding that sweet spot where you're breathing a little heavier than normal, but you can still hold a conversation.
Okay.
You should feel like you could sustain the effort for at least 30 to 60 minutes.
So it's about finding that sustainable pace.
Wow.
What if I'm already pretty fit?
Yeah.
Can zone 2 training still be beneficial?
Absolutely. Even highly trained athletes can benefit from zone 2 training.
Okay.
It helps build your aerobic base, improves your recovery, and enhances your mitochondrial function.
Okay.
It's like giving your body a tune-up.
Okay, so we've covered nutrition, exercise, and even sleep.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to address when it comes to longevity?
There's one more crucial piece: emotional well-being.
Right, emotional well-being.
Atya's own story really highlights how neglecting our emotional health can sabotage even the most well-intentioned efforts to live longer and healthier.
That's right. He talks about how pushing himself too hard and ignoring his emotional needs led to a breakdown.
It did.
It's a powerful reminder that true health and longevity are about more than just physical metrics.
Exactly. He encourages us to cultivate emotional resilience, manage stress, and find meaning and purpose in our lives. He's a big advocate for mindfulness practices like meditation, gratitude, journaling, and spending time in nature.
Those are all things we can easily incorporate into our daily lives.
Exactly. And he reminds us that emotional health is not a solo sport.
Right.
Connecting with others, building supportive relationships, and having a sense of community are all crucial for well-being and longevity.
It's about finding that sense of belonging and purpose.
Yeah.
That makes life worth living.
It really does.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into longevity.
Wow.
I have to say, I'm feeling pretty inspired. What are your final takeaways?
For me, it's the realization that longevity is not about striving for some distant goal. But it's about making small, sustainable changes today. That ripple out into a healthier, more vibrant future.
I like that.
It's about taking ownership of your health, being curious, experimenting, and finding what truly works for you.
Beautifully said, and I think you've given our listener a fantastic toolkit to start building their own personalized longevity plan.
I hope so.
It's a journey, and there's always more to learn. But the most important step is that first one.
You got it.
So true. Well, thanks for diving in with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And to our listener, we hope you feel empowered to take charge of your health and create a life that's both long and fulfilling.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep living your best life. Until next time.